Burt Reynolds was more than a Hollywood icon. He was a man whose charm, wit, and presence could light up any room. Yet behind the laughter and the spotlight, he carried stories the world had never heard, stories that revealed both admiration and unspoken tension. As his career spanned decades, one relationship in particular stood out, a bond that was complex, unpredictable, and quietly profound. Only in the final chapters of his life did he choose to share what had truly unfolded behind the cameras, exposing a side of a legend few ever saw. Tonight, we uncover the untold truth that changed the way we remember these late-night moments forever. Early life and the path to Hollywood. Burt Reynolds was born on February 11, 1936, in Lansing, Michigan, into a family whose roots spanned Dutch, English, Scots-Irish, Cherokee, and Italian heritage. Though he often claimed a Georgia birthplace, it was in Lansing that his life truly began, shaped by the constant movement of a military household. His father's Army service meant frequent relocations, and it wasn't until 1946 that the Reynolds family settled in Riviera Beach, Florida, where Burt forged lifelong friendships, including one with Dick Hauer, known as Buddy. From a young age, Reynolds showed a natural athleticism, excelling in football and earning all-state honors in high school. His performance on the field led to a scholarship at Florida State University, where he became a standout halfback. Yet fate intervened. A knee injury coupled with a serious car accident curtailed his promising sports career. Reynolds briefly returned to Florida State, but after a difficult loss in 1957, he stepped away from football, marking the first major turning point in his life. This sudden pivot opened the door to acting, a world that would come to define him. Reynolds' initial forays were humble. By 1958, he was appearing in small guest roles on television shows like Flight Schlitz Playhouse and Pony Express. These early appearances were far from glamorous, yet they revealed the charm and rugged charisma that would become his trademark. In 1961, Broadway beckoned, offering a fleeting opportunity to stretch his skills, but television remained his true calling. Guest roles on iconic series such as Naked City, Route 66, Perry Mason, and The Twilight Zone allowed him to hone his craft, building a reputation as a reliable and captivating performer. A major turning point arrived in 1962 when Reynolds secured the role of Quint Asper, a half-Comanche blacksmith on Gunsmoke. Over 3 years, he brought both grit and heart to the series, proving that his appeal extended far beyond mere good looks. This period laid the foundation for a career that would straddle television and film seamlessly. Reynolds' early forays into cinema, including appearances in Angel Baby and Armored Command, demonstrated his versatility, hinting at a depth of talent that audiences and critics would come to recognize. These formative years, a combination of athletic ambition, sudden setbacks, and relentless pursuit of opportunity, shaped the man who would later command attention not only on the screen, but on one of television's most legendary stages. Rise to stardom and the talk show stage. By the late 1960s, Burt Reynolds had solidified his image as a rugged, no-nonsense action star, appearing in films like 100 Rifles and Shark, while experimenting with leading roles in short-lived series such as Hawk. Despite the occasional setback, his combination of charm, humor, and physical presence made him a recognizable and bankable figure. In 1970, he starred in the police drama Dan August, further cementing his television credentials. Yet it was in 1972 that Reynolds truly broke into the cultural consciousness with the release of Deliverance, a film that showcased his dramatic range and intensity. Audiences and critics alike were struck by the depth and nuance he brought to the role, a sharp contrast to the car chase comedies and light-hearted fare that would later dominate his career. That same year, his bold centerfold in Cosmopolitan magazine captured public attention, demonstrating a playful, irreverent side that complemented his on-screen persona. Reynolds was not only a serious actor but also a charismatic figure who could embrace humor and charm in equal measure. These qualities made him an ideal guest for late-night television, and Reynolds quickly became a favorite on talk shows. His wit and self-deprecating humor, combined with his larger-than-life personality, ensured that any appearance would be memorable. By the early 1970s, Reynolds had amassed a following that transcended film audiences, and his high-profile romances, including his relationship with singer Dinah Shore, added to the public fascination. It was around this time that The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson took notice. Carson, the king of late-night television and a powerful gatekeeper in Hollywood, had the ability to elevate an actor's career with a single appearance. For Reynolds, an invitation to Carson's stage was not merely another interview. It was a rite of passage, an opportunity to be seen by millions and to cement his standing in the entertainment world. However, Johnny Carson was a host with unspoken rules. Guests were expected to respect his personal boundaries. No excessive touching, no tampering with his desk items, and absolutely no interference with his hair. For many, these rules could feel restrictive, but Reynolds, known for his mischievous streak, saw them as a challenge rather than a limitation. This tension between discipline and spontaneity would become a hallmark of their dynamic, setting the stage for moments of chemistry, humor, and occasional friction that audiences would remember for decades. Reynolds' charisma, coupled with his willingness to push boundaries, created the perfect formula for appearances that were both entertaining and unpredictable, making him one of Carson's most memorable guests. The Tonight Show and Unseen Tensions. Burt Reynolds' first appearance on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson was more than a routine promotional stop. It was a defining moment, a collision of two larger-than-life personalities. On air, the chemistry between Reynolds and Carson was electric, each feeding off the other's wit and timing. Their exchanges were spontaneous, filled with playful pranks, quick retorts, and moments of pure humor that audiences adored. Reynolds' charm and unpredictability brought a fresh energy to the show, and Carson, ever the professional, had an uncanny ability to stay composed while amplifying the chaos for the camera. The result was television gold, a dynamic, unscripted interaction that kept viewers on the edge of their seats and cemented Reynolds' status as a talk show favorite. Yet behind the laughter, a different reality unfolded. Carson, revered for his calm and charismatic presence, had private rules that guided how guests interacted with him. These weren't suggestions, they were expectations. No one was to touch him unnecessarily, tamper with his pens or other desk items, or disrupt his carefully maintained appearance. While Reynolds was aware of these guidelines, his mischievous nature saw them less as boundaries and more as opportunities. The infamous tie-cutting incident exemplified this delicate balance. Reynolds, in a spontaneous act, snipped Carson's tie in half on live television, leaving the host momentarily stunned. The audience erupted in laughter, but backstage, Carson's composure hid a quiet irritation. He responded in kind, cutting a piece of Reynolds' clothing, and the playful battle escalated with whipped cream applied to hair and leather pants, creating an iconic, chaotic spectacle. Although the segment became legendary, those closest to Carson later revealed that the prank had crossed a line. On camera, he maintained his cool, but privately, he was perturbed. Reynolds had breached the personal boundaries that Carson held dear, and the tension lingered beneath the public facade of camaraderie. This subtle undercurrent of friction underscored a truth often invisible to audiences. The relationship between Reynolds and Carson was more layered than anyone could discern from the broadcast. Their connection was a blend of respect, admiration, and cautious navigation, with Reynolds' unpredictability constantly testing the limits of Carson's composure. It was a relationship defined as much by moments of playful brilliance as by the careful maintenance of personal and professional boundaries, a dynamic that would remain deeply influential in Reynolds' reflections in the years that followed. Reynolds' Reflections and the Hidden Truth. As Burt Reynolds grew older and looked back on his career, his memories of The Tonight Show and his interactions with Johnny Carson took on a new depth. What had once been moments of pure performance and playfulness now revealed a more complex relationship beneath the laughter. Reynolds reflected candidly that, while their on-screen chemistry seemed effortless, there had always been an unspoken tension. Carson, admired and respected by Reynolds, maintained a professional distance that few guests could penetrate, even those who had earned his affection through humor or charisma. Their friendship was not one of casual familiarity. It was a careful balance of admiration, mutual understanding, and awareness of boundaries, shaped by decades of experience navigating the unforgiving world of Hollywood. Reynolds acknowledged that the infamous tie-cutting prank, which had delighted audiences and secured his place in late-night history, carried consequences beyond what anyone could see. At the time, he had laughed it off as harmless fun, but in retrospect, he realized it may have crossed a line with Carson. The playful chaos on camera masked the underlying importance Carson placed on control, order, and his public persona. Reynolds, known for his mischievous streak, understood in his later years that the humor had been layered over a subtle but real strain, a tension that the public never glimpsed. It was this complexity that Reynolds sought to reveal before his passing, a candid acknowledgement that the friendship, while genuine, was also delicate, nuanced, and shaped by a mutual recognition of each man's principles and idiosyncrasies. Beyond the pranks and jokes, Reynolds's reflections highlighted the deep respect he held for Carson's talent and professionalism. Despite any moments of friction, Reynolds admired the host's mastery of timing, his ability to navigate unpredictability, and his unwavering commitment to the integrity of his show. At the same time, Reynolds's own unpredictability and charm had brought a rare vitality to Carson's stage, one that few other guests could sustain. Their relationship, Reynolds admitted, was not simple. It was a dance between spontaneity and restraint, humor and caution, affection and professional courtesy. In sharing this truth, Reynolds painted a portrait of Carson not merely as a television icon, but as a man with personal boundaries, exacting standards, and a profound understanding of the delicate dynamics of friendship within the high-pressure world of entertainment. Reynolds, the press, and unspoken disappointments. Burt Reynolds' life in Hollywood was not only defined by his on-screen performances and late-night appearances, but also by his complex relationship with the press. One of the most revealing anecdotes came from a personal journalist encounter surrounding his 1985 appearance on The Tonight Show with Johnny Carson. Reynolds had personally invited the reporter to the Fort Lauderdale set of his movie Stick, where he served as both star and director. His hospitality was extraordinary. He treated the journalist like a member of the production team, explaining camera setups, lighting, and introducing him to everyone on set. Yet behind this warmth was a candid insight into how Reynolds perceived critics. He admired journalism that was thorough and fair, like USA Today, and despised those who sought to destroy careers. Even as he embraced playful chaos on Carson's stage, Reynolds maintained a nuanced understanding of the influence of words in shaping public perception. This respect for the craft of reporting intersected with his private disappointments, most notably concerning Jack Nicholson. Reynolds had long admired Nicholson, but bore a quiet pain over lost opportunities. He had been considered for two of the most iconic roles of their generation. R.P. McMurphy in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and Garrett Breedlove in Terms of Endearment. Both roles ultimately went to Nicholson, earning him Oscars and solidifying his legendary status. Reynolds was not angry at Nicholson, rather he felt a sense of profound disappointment. In a heartfelt reflection, he described how seeing the success of roles he might have inhabited caused a lingering, almost tangible sense of regret. He even referenced the newspaper headline that misrepresented his feelings, clarifying that he had never been irked at Nicholson. He was merely confronting the harsh reality of near misses in a career dictated by timing, luck, and circumstance. Friendship, and the lessons left behind. Looking back, Burt Reynolds' relationship with Johnny Carson transcended the typical host-guest dynamic. It was a carefully balanced interplay of humor, respect, and occasional tension, a partnership forged on live television yet deeply shaped by unspoken boundaries off-camera. Reynolds' irrepressible charm and willingness to push limits brought unpredictability to The Tonight Show, creating some of the most memorable moments in late-night history. From the infamous tie-cutting incident to playful whipped cream antics, Reynolds challenged Carson's precise control, yet Carson's skill and professionalism allowed him to absorb the chaos while maintaining composure for the audience. Behind the spectacle, though, both men navigated a delicate terrain. Carson's rules and personal quirks contrasted with Reynolds' mischievous spontaneity, producing a friendship that was vibrant, layered, and sometimes tense. Reynolds' reflections before his death revealed a profound awareness of this complexity. He acknowledged that the friendship was never simple. It blended admiration, careful competition, and emotional distance. Carson's calm, commanding presence offered Reynolds a stage on which he could experiment, improvise, and reveal his humor to millions, while also providing the subtle guidance and boundaries needed to respect the show's integrity. Reynolds, in turn, brought vitality, unpredictability, and humanity to the set, reminding both Carson and the audience that even meticulously crafted television could benefit from real, unscripted interaction. The bond was more than professional. It was a partnership built on mutual recognition of talent, timing, and temperament. Beyond their work together, Reynolds' experiences with the press and reflections on lost opportunities, such as roles that went to Jack Nicholson, painted a portrait of a man both resilient and sensitive, capable of charm and mischief, yet deeply affected by the unforgiving rhythms of Hollywood. By sharing these stories, Reynolds gave audiences insight into the human side of celebrity, a world where laughter often coexists with disappointment, boundaries are respected and tested, and friendship can be both exhilarating and fraught with subtle tension. What do you think? Was Burt Reynolds' boldness a bridge to true friendship or a test of Johnny Carson's patience? Would you have dared to push the limits the way Reynolds did? Share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold stories from Hollywood's golden era.